The courtroom was packed. My wife stood beside her expensive lawyer with a confident smile. She believed she had already won. She pointed at me and called me a worthless veteran who deserved nothing. The room filled with whispers. I did not argue. I did not interrupt. I simply looked at the judge. Then I quietly spoke one sentence. "Morgan, remember me." The judge froze. His face turned pale. Seconds later, he stood up from the bench in complete shock. What happened next destroyed every lie that had been carefully built against me. Stay until the end because this true inspired story reveals how one forgotten act of kindness came back years later and changed everything inside that courtroom. Story: 7 years earlier, I was serving overseas with my military unit. We were sent into one of the most dangerous rescue operations of our deployment. Our mission was simple on paper, but impossible in reality. We had to evacuate civilians trapped inside a conflict zone before nightfall. During the mission, we discovered a young legal volunteer who had been helping injured families. His name was Daniel Morgan. He had no military training. He was terrified, but refused to abandon the children hiding inside a damaged building. As explosions grew closer, I carried 2 injured civilians while another soldier helped Daniel escape. Moments later, the building collapsed behind us. Daniel looked at me with tears in his eyes and promised he would never forget what happened that day. Life moved on. I returned home carrying injuries that changed my career forever. My military service ended earlier than expected because of permanent damage to my back. I struggled to find steady work. I never spoke about my service because I did not want sympathy. Years later, I met the woman who became my wife. She appeared caring and supportive. At first, everything seemed perfect. We built a comfortable life together. I trusted her with everything, including our finances. Slowly, her attitude changed. She started mocking my military pension. She compared me with wealthy businessmen. She said I lacked ambition because I refused to chase money at any cost. I ignored the insults because I believed marriage required patience. Eventually, she asked for complete control over our savings. She claimed she could manage investments better than I could. I trusted her. Months later, I noticed unusual bank withdrawals. Whenever I asked questions, she became angry and accused me of being insecure. One evening, she finally admitted she wanted a divorce. She hired one of the most expensive lawyers in the city. I could never afford someone at that level. Friends advised me to settle quickly because I would lose everything. I stayed calm. The trial day arrived. The courtroom was crowded with people waiting for different hearings. When our case was called, my wife confidently walked forward. Her lawyer immediately painted me as lazy, irresponsible, and financially dependent. Then came the sentence that changed everything. "Your Honor, he is just a worthless veteran living off the past." The words echoed across the courtroom. Some people looked away. Others quietly nodded because they only heard one side of the story. I remained silent. The judge listened carefully without showing emotion. When it was finally my turn, I slowly stood up. I looked directly toward the bench. Then I quietly asked, "Morgan, remember me?" The judge stared at me for several long seconds. His expression suddenly changed. He removed his glasses. He stepped down from the bench. The courtroom became completely silent. He walked closer. Then he whispered, "Sergeant James, is it really you?" I smiled. "Yes, sir." The judge looked overwhelmed. He immediately returned to the bench and asked for a short recess. Everyone inside the courtroom looked confused. My wife stared at her lawyer. Neither of them understood what had happened. When court resumed, Judge Morgan addressed everyone. He explained that years earlier, while serving as an international legal volunteer, his life had been saved by a military rescue team. The man who carried him to safety, despite his own injuries, was standing in front of him today. He made one thing perfectly clear. That experience would never influence his legal decision. But he also warned every person inside the courtroom that false statements and disrespect toward military service had no place inside his courtroom. The atmosphere changed instantly. My wife's lawyer became noticeably quieter. The judge carefully reviewed every financial document submitted by both sides. That was when another surprise appeared. Several transfers from our shared accounts had never been disclosed. The records showed thousands of dollars moving into accounts connected to my wife's relatives. The judge ordered a complete financial review. More hidden transactions appeared. Luxury purchases, secret vacations, private investments. Everything had been paid using money from our joint savings. The lawyer who had mocked me only hours earlier suddenly struggled to explain the evidence. Witness after witness confirmed the financial records. My wife admitted she believed I would never investigate because she assumed I trusted her completely. She was right. I had trusted her. But facts speak louder than assumptions. Weeks later, the final ruling arrived. The court divided assets based entirely on verified financial evidence. Every hidden transfer was documented. Every missing dollar was accounted for. Justice was based on facts rather than emotion. After the hearing, Judge Morgan approached me privately. He thanked me once again for saving his life years earlier. I reminded him that every soldier would have made the same choice. He smiled. Maybe, but not everyone would have forgotten about it the way you did. Months later, I rebuilt my life. I found purpose mentoring young veterans returning home after military service. Many struggled with confidence after leaving active duty. I understood exactly how they felt. Instead of focusing on betrayal, I focused on helping others. One afternoon, I received a handwritten letter. It was from Judge Morgan. Inside, he wrote one simple sentence. Real honor is not proven in battle. It is proven by how you choose to live afterward. I placed that letter inside a frame, not because it came from a judge, but because it reminded me that integrity always survives longer than lies. People may underestimate you. They may question your value. They may even try to rewrite your story. But truth has a way of arriving exactly when it is needed most. Sometimes justice takes time. Sometimes respect is delayed. But character never goes out of style. The people who truly matter will always recognize it. Strong ending. Respect cannot be bought with money, and honor cannot be erased by insults. The courtroom remembered one veteran because of his character, not because of his title. In the end, the truth defeated every lie. If this story inspired, you remember that patience, integrity, and courage often win the battles that anger never can.